I am Rodolfo Fabre, also known as Rudy Fabre. The name of my firm is Rodolfo R. Fabre Design and Architecture. I am the architect of this project. I have worked in architecture for over 20 years. It's gone really fast. I grew up in Houston. My family's from Mexico. I had two uncles that were architects in Mexico, so growing up, we'd go to their projects and visit, in various states of build. My dad's company was in aviation services, successful. I always thought I would go into that. So I went to the University of Houston initially for business. Then one day a friend took me by the architecture school and I walked in and that was it. That's what I want to do. Graduated from University of Houston College of Architecture in '97 and I've been working since then in architecture, mainly in architect-driven high-end residential market. And I've been fortunate to work in some of the best firms here in Houston. I love design, which can be different than architecture itself. I like work that is process-driven, that you can see in the quality of work that the architects and their team, which, architecture is a collaboration with other consultants to make a project successful. I have worked in modern architecture. The architecture growing up that I was describing with my uncles was all modern in Mexico, but it contrasted with the historical buildings already in the city. Where in Houston is a more modern city itself, so there tends to be kind of the opposite, a lot more traditional work. In fact, this project has traditional precedent. So it's probably more purist in vision, and I would say that with the traditional work too, where if it's a modern piece of architecture, it is pure modernist and there's no crossover of softening that modernism with traditional, so it's not really contemporary, it's more modern and abstract, clean lines, minimalist to a degree, although I'm not a minimalist. I would say the same with the traditional work. I tend to the more abstract, which is why I like working in this more California Spanish colonial language, because it is more abstract, more minimalist in its own way. And there's this crossover, again, it's more process driven, so the building process that you're trying to work around to maintain the vision of the architecture. So as simple as hiding the roof jacks that come through in the roof, or you don't want to see, or you want to at least deliberately place them, or air conditioning grills, or where your lights are placed and everything. That kind of attention to those elements I've experienced both in traditional and modern work. From the beginning, my first job, the architect I worked with, we were very hands-on and almost design build, where we would, on his projects, we would sometimes build some of the elements ourselves. I had a wood shop at the time, and so window frames, sometimes we built them. I went out on my own in 2017, and I had my first project, first big residential project completed summer of last year, and that one I'm really proud of. That one's modern. That one is pure modern, and with some quirks. The client, wanted a slide in the stair hall, so we have a big metal slide in the stair hall, and it's very fun, and they entertain a lot. So that house I'm very proud of.
Talk us through kind of what the project is in general, even though I think viewers will already know a little bit because we've been rambling about it for a minute, but it'll be great to see from your perspective kind of how you registered the idea of the project, what the project means to you, and then how you attacked it on an architectural vision or design mindset.
Yeah, it's funny that you call it dream house because it truly is Carly's dream house. Like, and I'm honored to be the architect and to bring her vision to reality. But so we started this project in 2018. I was referred to Carly from the office I just left, and she had originally on this property there was a ranch style house from the 50s. Her original request was to add a garage apartment, renovate the house, but we quickly saw that that was going to be expensive, and what she really wanted was a Spanish colonial style house. She travels a lot. She's been in Mexico, South America, and she loves that architecture. And so we quickly pivoted to that, which would be, tear down the old house, a new house on the property. And so we went through a design process, lots of precedent and references, and kind of narrowed down the plan and everything, and went as far as getting a permit in 2019. We're ready to build, and then COVID hit, and that put a pause on the project for 2 years. And then finally, when Carly was ready in 2022, of course, prices had doubled, and so we had to edit the original design to get it back into budget. And then we revised the permit and started, I believe, in May of 23. Having worked in some traditional offices that do incredible work, I absorbed some of the process of traditional design, which is very different from kind of modernist approach that we're taught and I had worked on previously, which is basically research driven in terms of precedent, meaning examples of historical projects that are appropriate to the vision that the client wants. So in this case, I researched Spanish colonial precedent, primarily because Carly's images and her kind of dream images and photos were tending towards that language. So Santa Barbara, California has a collection of great, I like to go deeper and try to understand what they were referencing, which was the Andalusian farmhouses and ranches in Spain. And then I like to look for a more local reference, which in this case would be Isabella Court's apartments in Midtown, which was built in '29. And it's a beautiful gem of an apartment complex, Spanish colonial style, big stucco, white walls, some wood detailing. I mean, the courtyard is beautiful. So kind of going from the, local touchstone to the broader historical precedent, California, to the Spanish origins that inspired all this architecture.